So some brand new Lost Ark info just released for the Western launch, and it's becoming more and more obvious that our version of Lost Ark will be a Frankenstein's monster of a game with a little bit of everything. The West is launching with the version of Lost Ark that no other region launched with, and we'll be getting even more info about how our version differs from the others sometime next week. For now, let's get into what they've revealed here. To start off, the 3 regions of Yorn, Phaeton, and Punica will be coming with the Western release. These are late game regions that add new quests, bosses, chaos dungeons, and gear. With these 3 regions comes the inclusion of some Tier 2 and Tier 3 content, but not all of it. For those of you who don't know, the tiers are basically major updates that add new layers of gear and progression on top of the base release. Once you've progressed through Tier 1 content and leveled up your gear, you'll move on to Tier 2 content and do the same, all the way through Tier 3. Basically, we'll be getting way more late game content on launch than anyone was really anticipating. Now, they've also explained that Tier 3 gear will be added, which is higher rarity gear than was possible to get during the closed beta, and only some Tier 3 content will be added for now, with the inclusion of an Abyssal Dungeon, Chaos Dungeon, and Guardian Raid. With this expanded late game, the level cap has also been raised from 50 to 60, giving you some more work to do once you've hit level 50 and unlocked the endgame. Their current plan is to slowly roll out more Tier 3 content after launch, with a focus on getting Legion raids into the game as soon as possible. The director of Smilegate recently explained that Legion raids were very well received and was pushing to get those added into the Western release as soon as possible. For those of you who don't know, Legion raids are basically super difficult in-game raid content that's meant to be some of the most difficult content in Lost Ark. Included in that Tier 3 content will likely be gems. You could see the tab for these for a brief moment in the official channel's character creation overview video. Basically, gems are something that you can add onto your gear to give your abilities different effects like increased damage, reduced cooldown, etc. These are not available in Tier 1 content. Speaking of character creation, we'll also be given the option to select from a few different voice options when creating our characters. This is a pretty recent addition to the Korean version, so it's nice that we'll have the option right away. And speaking of voices, we'll be able to select the original Korean voiceover for the game if you prefer sub to dubbed like any cool person does. This will come in the form of a free DLC that you could download on launch day. Also, most of those early, unskippable cutscenes are now skippable, which is nice for those not really interested in the story. They've also increased the difficulty of some content, primarily aimed at some of the Tier 1 endgame, likely some added difficulty for the raids and dungeons, since they're almost too easy. Sometime in the coming days, we'll also be getting info on the monetization and general business model of how our release is going to work, as well as a set of patch notes that'll better lay out exactly how our version of Lost Ark differs from the previously released versions around the world. There will also be a roadmap to help lay out their plans for content post-launch. That's pretty much everything. Thanks for tuning in, be sure to like and subscribe if this helped you out, and I will see you guys in the next one.